Good morning. Welcome to Norma Talks. 2 years ago, on January the 9th, I did my first Norma Talk. And then, except for a few exceptions, every Wednesday morning, I have been here talking about different topics and different things. Some of them I know very well. Some of them are just being topics that have come up from the week. And it's been wonderful for me to watch the subscribing list grow slowly and surely, and now a little more faster as the information gets out. My first talk, I didn't know what I was doing on Zoom, and I had to have a friend re-edit it for me. And it was about the auras and about how large our auras can be, which can often create distress within one's life. And I did a lot of work and talk way back then. And I'll probably repeat, which won't be the same words, but the same topics as the months go by as well, because it's always interesting to know exactly what we're going to looking at. And as people, as a being in this world, and especially when things get heated up a little bit and uncertainty, and we're not sure what's going to go on or where we're heading and what we're doing, I would like to bring a sense of calm, of remembering that we are a spiritual being, have a human experience. I find the fear that has been generated within this world in the last few months with COVID and other things, and how restrictions we have in our lives, that this too, and knowing this too shall pass. It will pass. There'll be other things, and just hopefully not more restrictions. But it's like, how do we remember how to handle things? And so this week, I'm going to touch on a couple of subjects that have come up through clients and conversations I have had this week. This week, I found a couple of people were talking to me how they were bored. Now, I'm not usually bored personally, but I have had the odd time when I've been bored. So I understand that feeling. Now, one of the things with boredom is that you need to get up and do something. If you're bored, sometimes we have children and they'll say, "Oh, I'm bored. I don't know what to do." Well, go do something, like go outside or go create something, go on a bike ride, all the things you probably can't do too well right now. But as an adult, what do we do? The first thing, and this is going to be actually applicable to the other subjects I'm going to touch on, is that you must get your mind corralled. Because if you're bored, what's going to happen is your mind is going to be going over and over and over how bored you are. And so it becomes almost just sort of dictates, this is boredom, this is what am I going to do? It's no fun, or however your mind works. So the first thing is to be able to work on that. And I'm going to talk a little bit more of that as we go on. The second thing that I've run into, and this is happening because a lot of us are in lockdown. A lot of us are not seeing people that we would usually see. We're not in a community where we can gather. I'm feeling lucky. I have several friends that I see regularly, so I'm not really in my life either have experienced loneliness. I would say maybe 2 or 3 times in my life that I felt, I'm lonely. I'm alone a lot. I have been alone a lot for a lot of years, and I don't mind that because there's lots of things for me to do. Now, if you feel that you're lonely, the key is to pick up the phone and phone somebody and talk to somebody, or just go for a walk if your abilities are able to do that, and just notice people around you. Notice the beauty around you. I was out walking the other day, and I was looking at the winter gardens of, we don't have flowers where I am. It's winter. It's cold winds. We're lucky this year. We got very little snow where we are. Other places not so lucky. But I was looking at the different yards and how they were. And it was really interesting because I was crossing over a street and I really noticed the energy shifted from where I was walking, which is close to where I live, crossing a street into another street and realizing, oh, the energy here is different. Let me take a look at what the houses are, what their yards are like, and things like that. So it's like if you're feeling lonely, you need to reach out. Now that also could apply to if you're bored, get out and doing something physical is really important. But the loneliness is, I think it's very important to phone. I had a friend phone me yesterday, unexpectedly, because I haven't been reaching out by phone too much at all. And because I'm fairly busy, thank goodness. So I'm not bored and I'm certainly not lonely. But it's like, make a plan. Make a plan. If you are in an area that you can meet for coffee or tea or some form of a drink, do that. Have lunch, have supper. You've got to reach out. Loneliness, you isolate yourself and you light yourself, and your mind really pushes the point there's nobody there. But you'll be surprised. And I know that because of communities not meeting, no churches, no organizations, nothing like that. And I will admit, that meeting via Zoom or things like that, it isn't the same as personal contact. I agree with that for sure. And as I said, I'm lucky I have several friends that I do have personal contact with. So it really makes a difference, but you need to make sure that you reach out, you do something. Now, the third thing I wanted to talk about was worry. Right now, I'm a Canadian in Canada. I'm a Canadian, and south of us, there's a lot of things going on, a lot of unrest, a lot of uncertainty. Nobody really, they have a plan, but which plan and which and how. So people worry. They have worries in their own life. A friend, one of my longtime clients, and you could put her in a category of a friend, her dog, beloved dog of 11 years, just dropped dead. And you can imagine how upset she is. Now, that's not worried, but it's like you all the things you have to do when something happens like that. When something unexpected comes up, what do? But people worry. They're worrying about, what about this and what about that? And I have friends that are phoning me, what do you think's going on? Excuse me, and what's happening? And what's, it's like, well, last week I did a prediction basically of what's going on, expecting to go on in January. And I went back and relooked at that and the prediction that I was making at the time. And yes, we need to be able to handle the unexpected that comes in. We need to be able to handle, and that, how do we handle that? We handle it by first accepting what's going on. And then we handle it by deciding how we want to do what we want to do. And I, like a lot of people are coming, asking me, or friends are sending me different bits of information. And I just said, I'm just relaxing and waiting to see what happens, because I know there's something, because of my reading last week, something's going to take place or between the 20th and 24th by the looks of it. I'm going to wait till then. In the meantime, my life carries on. And that is our key. What do we need to do for our lives? What do we need to do for ourselves in the direction of where we're heading? If we're worrying, doesn't help anything. If you know anything about how thought works, your thoughts go into the collective consciousness. Your thoughts are a part of that, and it has an effect. And when you have worry thoughts, it means you don't see a result. You don't see an end result you want. You don't see anything that can help you. And it lowers your vibration so that the fears and the anxieties and the worries from other people impact you. So actually what happens, you're just not worried about whatever it is you're worrying about, but it gets impacted by the collective consciousness worrying. There is a lot of worry and elements that are going on because of the virus, because of the political situation in the US, because of the uncertainty that's going on, but people aren't really aware. And so consequently, what happens is that collective consciousness gets, like, you might say, walking through soup or mud or something that doesn't bind you, but it blocks you, it stops you. So it's always important to remember, what are your goals? What is it that you're desiring? What is it that you are wanting? So that you are in handle, is that one right word? Is so that you can handle what's going on with patience and with knowing that the best result will always show up. Your life is dependent on you. It is dependent on how you handle the things that are happening around you. It is dependent on what you are choosing to think and how you're emotionally responding. Those two things go together. So if you are bored, if you are lonely, if you are worried, get up and do something. Phone somebody or plan to meet somewhere. But most of all, watch your thoughts. Watch how you think. Because that now not only has an effect on your physical body, but it has effect into the collective consciousness. I have over my lifetime done a lot of prayer work for people. And very often when people are having a prayer work done, they are wanting a specific result. And in the prayer, what I was trained for when I was trained to do this was you didn't always pray for the absolute result, but that you prayed for the highest and best result for you. Because what do we really know? What do we really know? We don't know a lot, really. We have information, but what do we know about our soul journey? And I think when you start to look at your life as a soul that is contained within this body, that has a limited time span, the majority of us do not live over 100, even though some people do. The majority of us don't. Some people have a very short lifespan. Some people have a medium span, and some people have a long span. For me, as long as I'm productive, I'm quite happy to be here. If I'm not productive, I don't really want to be around because I feel that then I would get bored and lonely probably. But it's what I'm saying is that life is what we make it. Life is what we create and what we do and how we work with it. Life is here for us to enjoy. I know I went out this spring and took a picture out in the grass that grows outside of my apartment. And there's this one little flower that was bringing, and I took a picture of it because it's a sign of life. That in the middle of this grass being cut every 2 weeks, I think it was at that point, and then it gets down to a week, this little flower emerged. And that's what we are. We are flowers. And now are we showing bright? Are we bright or are we hiding? What are we doing? How are we playing this part? Now, we're in the winter. I know I watch the photographs from my New Zealand family and friends and lovely beaches they're on and all sorts of things that they're doing. And while we are a little bit, we're huddled down, we're restricted, and we're in winter. So it's not always the most pleasant thing. We get snow or we get rain. We get a lot of people getting a lot of rain. There's a storm that's gone through. It has missed my town, but the town about an hour and a half north of me has been being hit with lots of power outages from this storm that is, I just read, had taken a number of towns out of electricity. Be thankful for what you do have and make the best of it. What can you do to make things more fun? If you're bored, I don't know. I'm not a jigsaw puzzle person. My sister was. She just loved them. But what do you like doing? I'm a reader, so I'll read. I'm also a TV watcher, so I'll watch TV. If I'm bored, why would I be bored when there's so many things to explore? If I'm lonely, that's my issue. I just have to pick up the phone. I have a lot of friends all over. I just have to talk to them, and some of them are quite willing to talk for a long time. If I'm worried, I know where to go. And I do what I do and recommend for my clients and for people, and that is this. When you have a thought that does not support you in what you want and what you want to create, you take it and you freeze it in space and time, you evaporate it so it's no more, and you replace it with the end result you want. Why do you do this? Because your subconscious is like a garden. And as I pointed out to somebody a few days ago, if you want your subconscious to be full of weeds, then you take it out, take out those thoughts that don't suit you, that don't support you, that don't create the goals you want. But you must evaporate it and replace it with a flower, which is what you do want. For the simple reason, if you do not, it'll still be there. You'll still be full of weeds. And believe me, if you begin to do this, it won't be the next day, but there is a time when you will realize there's space and that your mind is actually representing how you want your life to be, no matter what it is, what's happening, the shocks that we have in life. We are able to draw on our strength, on our awareness, and we are able to move forward. So I sincerely wish, and this coming with, because wishes can become true, that you all don't have to experience these three things I touched on today. You don't have to be bored, you don't have to be lonely, and you don't have to be worried. For I know that you don't. It's about you taking command of your life and moving forward and allowing yourself to create, no matter how limited we are at this moment of time, to create what you want for you, and that you feel and work with all that there is. So thank you for listening. And remember, you can always contact me through my website, www.normacowie.com. Thank you for your likes, your shares, and thank you very much for just being you. Blessings.